If you have been wanting to learn AI, then and you're very afraid whether it is too complex or not, let me tell you, neural networks are simple. Really, not really. What does simple mean? Let's understand so that it gives you an idea about what is the kind of knowledge required in neural networks. So, what do I mean by simple is neural networks have very limited number of basic building blocks. What do you mean by that? For example, if you look at anything, humans as a complicated body, we are made up of DNA. And of all the variety of all the animals, the core of the DNA is made up of only four fundamental proteins, A, G, C, T. Lego, in which we can build extremely complicated buildings, they have a very few kind of pieces which we can add together, stack together to build whatever we want. If you want to build a house, we have very few standard building blocks, and just by using them, we get any complicated house. Neural networks are exactly the same way. When it is mathematical, you will find the domain becomes a bit more complicated when you get into it. But for beginner, you have to know the small number of building blocks, and as long as you can deal with that, you actually know neural network, and you can over a time keep increasing your knowledge. So don't be scared. It has very limited number of building blocks, and I'll show them to you. So this is a neural network. Every single box you see here, it is a few numerical values saved. That's it. A neural network is a learned neural network, okay, in which the knowledge is saved into these values. That's all it is. Some of the neurons might have higher weight and lower bias. Some of them might have opposite, whatever the combination. So the basic building block of a neural network is single neuron. Each neuron, so this neural network which we saw visualized in 3D, you can see it here on TensorFlow Playground. It is now visualized here in 2D. So every neural network is made up of neurons. The complicated part comes from training this network, but the neural network conceptually is very simple because everything is made up of neurons repeated many times. Everything is repeat, and if you want to add complexity to it, after a single neuron is made up of two things, it has variables which are same as number of incoming inputs. So each incoming input will have a appropriate number assigned to it, and that assigned is called as weight. Now that weightage, if you think, let's say we are making a average and we are trying to calculate, let's say, average net worth of people. Now if we include net worth of people like Ambani, Bill Gates, or Elon Musk, then average is going to come very skewed. So to find average of a majority of population, we need to assign, penalize them, give them less weightage so that we get a correct average. So this weight gives, it tells us a number of, importance so that we get the value we want. The same thing is here for each neuron. So each neuron has just weight. Number of weights is same as number of incoming inputs. It has a separate single variable called as bias, and it operates with a single function which is part of a neuron. That's it. This is entire neural network. Here, these weights are also called as parameters, and entire neural network is made up of these parameter values. The ones which you see, it is a different permutation and combination for each network, but that is the parameter. So if I say train, the values are going to change for this network. Blue ones are positive, orange ones are negative, thicker lines are more weightage to that thing. Thinner lines is less weightage. So you see, the variation of knowledge is very different, but in the end, it's just a single neuron. There is gonna be, if you add, there will be additional things like regularization, the rate, or complications will keep on adding, but everything is built on this basic building block. And this basic building block is so small that if you check this code, Andrej Karpathy has written this code called as min GPT, minimum GPT. And you might know GPT, is a extremely popular AI application, Chat GPT. It recently had a GPT 4.0 release, which is a very amazing real-time AI. Okay, it's gonna make AI even more popular now. So to implement a application like that, because we have extremely small number of components which are repeated in just in a scaled up version, the code of this application is less than 300 lines. Can you imagine a application like GPT being coded in just 300 lines? Why? Because the building blocks are very limited. So if you have been waiting to learn deep learning and you have been afraid, do know it is a bit difficult to, get the maths and really master the coding aspect and go through all the jargon and so many things which are happening. But don't be afraid of that, because the fundamentals are extremely limited. And if you truly want to get the absolute fundamental, go to Kaggle Learn. And in Kaggle Learn, there is this introduction to deep learning and introduction to computer vision. These will tell you those smallest building block in just a very small tutorial. So single neuron and these things are what are the bare minimum for everything. That's it. That's why neural networks are simple, really.